Salam and welcome. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Quran in English Basics for Beginners. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We are looking at chapter number 43, Surah Summary from Sayyid Abul Ala Maududi, rahmatullah alayhi, Surah Az-Zukhruf, the ornaments of gold. The surah is derived from Zukhruf, which occurs in verse number 33 of this chapter. A study of its subject matter shows that this chapter was also set down in the same period in which Surahs Al-Mu'min and Surah As-Sajda and Shu'ara were sent down. It appears that the revelation of this series of surahs began when the disbelievers of Mecca were planning to put an end to the life of Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sal'lam. Day and night they were holding consultations in their assemblies as to how to eliminate him, and even attack on his life also had been made, as has been clearly referred to in verses 79 to 80. Right, let's look at the main themes and topics. A forceful and severe criticism has been made of the Quraysh and the common creeds and superstitions of ignorance in which they persisted, and their stubbornness has been exposed in a firm and effective way. And we find this stubbornness is also present in the 21st century. So that every member of the society who was reasonable in some degree should be made to consider the evils in which the community was involved and its tyrannical treatment of the person who was trying to redeem it. The discourse starts in a way as if to say, you, by means of your mischiefs, want that the revelation of this book, the Quran, should be stopped. But Allah has never withheld the appointment of His prophets and the revelation of His books because of the mischief of the people, but has destroyed the wicked people who obstructed the way of His guidance. And just as He did in the past, so too the same He will do again. A little further in verses 41 to 43 and 79 to 80, the same thing has been reiterated. Though the people who are plotting against his life are meant, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been addressed to the effect, whether you remain alive or not, we will certainly punish the wicked. And the people themselves have been plainly warned to the effect, if you have decided to take an action against our Prophet, we too will take a decisive action. Then it has been told what is the reality of the religion that the people are following so devotedly, and what are the arguments on whose strength they are resisting Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Was'sallam. They themselves admit that the Creator of the heavens and the earth and the Creator of themselves and their deities, there is only one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They also know and admit that the blessings they are benefiting from have also been bestowed by the Supreme Creator of the heavens and the earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet they insist on making others associates of Allah in His Godhead. They regard the servants as the children of Allah, and that daughters whom they regard as disgraceful for themselves. They believe that the angels are goddesses. They carve their images as females. They adorn them with female dresses and ornaments and call them the daughters of Allah. They worship them and invoke them for the fulfillment of their needs. How did they know that the angels were female? So this is simply their myth, their folklore, and simply their imagination, which has distorted their way of living and their thoughts. When they are rebuked for these superstitions and man-made ideologies, they present the pretense of destiny and said, had Allah disapproved of these practices of ours, we could not have worshipped these images. Look, so they, instead of taking personal responsibility, they are shifting the blame. Whereas the means of finding out whether Allah had approved of something or not are His books. and not those things which are happening in the world according to his will. For under his will, not only idol worship, but crimes like theft and adultery and robbery and murder and so on also are being committed. Can this argument be used to justify as right and proper this commission of crime and evil in this world? When it is asked, have you any other authority apart from this wrong argument for this polytheism of yours? They reply, the same has been the practice since the time of our forefathers, but this also is not a strong argument, because if their forefathers are wrong, how can they then keep on following that? In other words, this is their opinion. This, in their opinion, is a strong enough argument for creeds being right and true, whereas the Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, descent from whom is the only basis of the pride and distinction, had rejected the religion of his elders and even left his home. And he had discarded every such blind imitation of his forefathers. So the lesson is, don't just follow the culture and tradition of your family life if they are wrong. And then, if these people had to follow their elders only, for this also they selected the most ignorant elders and abandoned the most illustrious elders, like the prophets Abraham, Ismail alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam. When they are asked, has ever a prophet or a book sent down by God also given this teaching that others besides Allah too are worthy of worship? They present this practice of the Christians as an argument that they took Jesus, the son of Mary, as son of God and worshipped him. Whereas the question was not whether this community of a prophet had committed shirk or not, but this whether a prophet himself had taught the shirk, and there is no prophet who would ever told his community that they must worship him instead of worshipping the one true God. Jesus, the son of Mary, had never said that he was a son of God and that the people should worship him. His own was the same teaching which every other prophet had brought, La ilaha illallah, my Lord as well as your Lord is Allah, so worship him alone. They were disinclined to believe in the prophethood of the Holy Prophet Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sal'lam, because he was neither a rich man nor a person of high worldly position and rank. They said, ignorantly, had Allah willed to appoint a prophet among us, he would have appointed one of the great men of our two cities, our two big cities of Makkah and Taif, like New York and Washington, or Cape Town and Johannesburg, right? On that very basis, Pharaoh also had looked down upon the Prophet Moses and said, if Allah, the King of the heavens, had to send a messenger to me, the King of the earth, he would have sent him with bracelets of gold and a company of angels in attendance. Wherefrom has this mendicant appeared, this poor person, Musa alayhi salam? I am superior to him, for the kingdom of Egypt belongs to me, and the canals of the river Nile are flowing under my control. What is the status of this man Musa alayhi salam as against me? He has neither wealth nor authority. Thus, after criticizing each practice of ignorance of the disbelievers and rejecting it with rational arguments, it has been pointed out as follows. Neither has God any offspring, nor are there separate gods of the earth and heavens, nor is there any intercessor who may be able to protect from his punishment those who adopt deviation knowingly. Allah is far above this that he should have children. He alone is the God of the whole universe. All others are his servants and not associates in his attributes and powers. And only such men can intercede with him who are themselves followers of the truth, and they also can intercede only for those who may have adopted obedience of the truth in the world. That brings us to the overall summary of this chapter. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah.